You gonna stream the new Resident Evil when it comes out? They're making a new Resident Evil? Aren't they always? New Resident Evil. Is it a remake? Is it a remake or is it a new one? I just see a Resident Evil movie is going to be made. What new Resident Evil game? Resident Evil Requiem? Hey, why the fuck in the new Resident Evil are we not playing as the daughter of the guy? Why are we not playing as the daughter of the guy? What was his name? What was her name? Rose Winters? Why aren't we playing as Rose Winters? Dude, wouldn't it be so cool to play as like a girl with psychic powers who gets like empowered by the mold? So you've like dual upgrade lines. You, on one hand you have like the mold based psychoactive powers, on the other hand you've got guns. That'd be sick as hell. Also, because Resident Evil games are hammy as fuck, okay? You know how the past two games they've had Ethan Winters be like a pussy? Like, Ethan Winters' job is to go somewhere and get his shit kicked in. He goes to Louisiana, he gets his arm chopped off, you know, a bunch of hicks fuck him in the ass or whatever. Then he goes to a castle in Transylvania and a giant lady steps on him. You know what would be really fun? What if we did a return to form with the Resident Evil protagonist being like a hard-headed badass who belts out one-liners, but it's Rose Winters. She's like fucking 18 or something, and she's like an overconfident she's an overconfident, hyper competent badass who's like doing the one-liners with every attack. Do the boulder punching. Female Duke Nukem, literally. Wouldn't that be great? That would result in her being sexualized as a muscle model? No, not like that. Look, here's Rose Winters, okay? She's just like, she looks like a PNW college girl, okay? Just have her be, she can look exactly like this, and she can just be like really brash and overconfident. I think that would be great. You know, she's fucking kicking down doors and shit. And like, women needs these escapist power fantasies. Whoa. You guys are making this about gender. I think that Rose Winters should be the next protagonist because it seemed like they were signaling it at the end of RE8. And after having Ethan Winters be a pussy in the last two mainline games, I think it would be cool if she was like Leon Kennedy. Also, bring back Leon Kennedy. Have Leon Kennedy play the same role in RE9 that Luis played in RE4, okay? Have you hear like noises from inside a closet and Rose Winters is like, what's that noise? And then Kennedy falls out of the closet and he's like, hey, am I the only person on earth who's never played a Resident Evil game? Yes, and it's loser shit. Play them. It would work if she also lost her shit every time a zombie popped up. But she's like, isn't Rose Winters like insanely strong? Yeah, her body was composed entirely of mold. Like, she's insanely strong. Like, she should be to regular Resident Evil protagonists what playing Hyrule Warriors, the Xenoblade thing, the one where you chop through 100,000 goblins in one hit or whatever, compared to a regular Zelda game. Like, she should be able to kill like everyone. Rosemary Winters is the strongest Resident Evil character by the time of End of Winters. Yes, yeah, because she's fucking made of mold. What is mold? It's the okay, in Resident Evil, a bunch of like companies and cults and stuff have been doing superhuman zombie experiments based on the mold. Like, that's the twist. All of it, Umbrella Corp, the RE4 cult people, all of it, they've been doing scientific experiments based on some underlying supernatural or scientific thing that was discovered. And in Resident Evil 7, you discover the actual origin, the actual point of that they've all been pulling that research from. And it's this weird, like, somewhat sentient magical mold that reforms and can take shape and so on. Yeah, it's like a prehistoric bacteria. I thought mold was a unique virus introduced in RE7. No, I thought it was like the origin point. Wasn't it directly stated in Resident Evil 8 that Umbrella got their original resource, or their original samples from the village? Everything in all of the Resident Evil, it's based on this one like lineage of the mold. And Rose is entirely composed of it. Then it wouldn't be Resident Evil if she was just insanely strong. Have you not played the original Resident Evil games like RE4? You're literally like a 1980s action hero. Leon Kennedy suplexes zombies to explode their heads. He roundhouse kicks doors. He punches boulders. Well, he doesn't punch boulders. I guess that was fuck. Why am I that was the Chris Redfield. Yeah, Chris Redfield punches boulders. I thought RE7 was the one with that creepy swamp family. It is, yeah. But that's the mold. That creepy swamp family a long time ago got wrapped up in the extraction of the ancient bacteria, and it ended up corrupting their family. No, that's RE8, isn't it? No. In RE7, they're affected by the mold. RE8 is when you like learn about the mold. I think in RE7 it's a pure horror game, in part because they don't explain what the mold is. The ship flipped and the father saved that creepy little girl. Yeah. Mold is a genus of fungus believed to have originated in an Eastern European mountain range, subject to scientific study in the early 20th century. Samples of mold were obtained by the connections in the 1990s, a potential source of bioweapons research, the result of which were human BOWs capable of mind control. Yeah, it all originates from there. Resident Evil lore is just chef's kiss. Dude, RE lore, in my opinion, was good in RE7 and 8. Like, Resident Evil 0 through 6, I feel like they weren't taking it seriously at all. Capcom was basically like... But in 7 and 8, they were like, what if we took this a little more seriously and tried to like wrap all of this up, give it a proper origin, and like reintroduce the horror vibes a little bit? And I feel like they did good with that. The mold and the viruses are separate things. Aren't the viruses based off of the mold? Like the viruses were genetically engineered off of them? The virus, IET virus, and G virus were uncovered their origin in RE5. Okay, I didn't play RE5. Sorry. Maybe I did. Fuck, I don't remember. RE8 lore was atrociously bad. What the fuck? Here's a horror-themed fairy tale. Rippy, how many times today are you going to like make me hover the mouse over the ban button? Over your name. Here's a horror-themed fairy tale village that we're gonna magically explain with bioweapons. How the fuck is that bad? Are you retarded? That's good. What do you mean? Dude, Eastern European, like Transylvanian castle built atop ancient bioweapon mold formation that's the origin of all the superhuman mutations in the series. That's awesome. That's fucking great. What do you that's phenomenal. And then the vampire women are all just like early test subjects and shit. It's fucking great. Literally peak. Everyone just remember. By the way, RE7 is a better game than RE8 because nobody remembers anything about Resident Evil 8 apart from the first of the 4 big bads you fight in the village. Everyone just remembers the giant woman because she's amazingly designed. No one remembers anything else. The Baker House is great. Yeah. So fucking good. The fucking the opening for RE7, the like when you start the game, the like trailer opening that plays still fucking gets me, man. The what is it? Dead and the Roading. That one? You were just gonna say Big Booba Lady, weren't you? I mean, the reason people like Lady Dumitrescu is just because she's really well designed. Like, obviously, she's a horny design. But there are so many horny designs that nobody gives a fuck about or remembers in the long term. Because at the end of the day, making fan service is also art, you know? You can do a good or a bad job. In the same way that, like, an action scene isn't better because you've scribbled more more bloodlines everywhere every time there's a punch. Like, you don't make fan service better just by giving them the biggest tits. I love Bottling Sunshine. I love the gameplay of 8. I love the gameplay of 8. It was so fun to play, but so much of 8 was uninteresting to me story-wise. Basically everything that wasn't the fucking mold. Like that whole I know they want to do like the over-the-top such and such. They had to do way more to characterize the other 4, in my opinion. No one else came close to her. The scary horror baby segment was good, but like after that, like there was so much like, okay, did anybody give a fuck about the Fishman? because I didn't. I don't think anyone did. Okay, yeah, you fight him through like a fishing village and then he turns into a fish or whatever. What about the yeah, Magneto? I thought the only thing anyone remembers about the Magnet guy is the fight at the end. I actually liked his banter throughout, yeah, Heisenberg. I liked his banter throughout the game. I enjoyed the tone of it. Um, but I don't think it led to anything. It was forgettable because it was like, oh, he's a big braggadocious guy who taunts you, and then there's a big fight at the end with a tank. You know, it goes exactly where you expect it's going to go. Whereas with her, with Domitresk, I felt like I was genuinely enraptured the whole time I was going through her manor. You know, because obviously, okay, yeah, she's going to turn into a big monster, and I'm going to shoot her. I understand. I know. I understand. But don't you all feel like you were being pulled along a lot more in Domitresk's manner? Like, weren't you more like enraptured by what was going on at that point? It's really cool to like have to navigate a space and avoid an enemy. I don't know. You never felt at ease. Yeah, like a theme haunted house. Heisenberg is voiced by the same guy that voiced Astarion in Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, nice. Listen, I had nothing against his performance. It was his role in the story that irked me, for the most part. She's so pretty. And her castle was the only one with a relation to all the village people. Yeah, also, like, hers was the only one that felt like it was set in the village. Like, the other set pieces are like a haunted manor with a doll manor with nobody in it, a giant factory, and like a fishing village with again nobody in it, whereas Domitresk had like an actual castle that felt like it could be a reclusive vampire manor in a obscure Eastern European village. Like, why is there a big factory there? I feel like, I don't know, i I feel like they could have gone in a much cooler direction with Heisenberg too. Why is he making metallic automatons? Wouldn't it be a lot cooler if the default enemy in his area was like a zombie worker, and it was more akin to like a 19th century factory, not some like modern like making robot thing, but more like, or like World War II era, yeah, something like that. Or if you wanted to go more with like the tank line of thinking, why not have the mechanical enemies you fight there feel more like ramshackle World War One type? Like, okay, imagine if instead of guys with big buzzsaw heads or whatever the fuck, why not have them with big tank shell heads? Like, wouldn't that be kind of sick? Like a human torso and then bolted and welded to the top is like a turret or something. I'm just trying to think, like, because I feel like his enemies didn't feel like they belonged in a rural Eastern European village. What is he doing with this army of mechanical men? You know, they weren't very Eastern. Hold on, I'm trying to find what they looked like again. Yeah, shit like this. I feel like this is a little bit over designed. Okay, it looks plenty ramshackle, I get that, but it also kind of feels like, I don't know, this design looks like it could be from like any era. like like if you were making a historical revision, it's, yeah, it's muddy. Yeah, it does look like it's killing floor shit. In comparison to the phenomenal design of Lady Domitresk, right? Where they were like, we're going to like land this genteel 8 foot tall, like, because her design is very simple, and I think that's one of the reasons people remember it so fondly. It looks like a 19th century, you know, like genteel antebellum southern woman with a big long cigarette stick and a big hat and this, you know, sundress and stuff. It's elegant, but it's also menacing, and for a variety of reasons, you know, in the way she carries herself. But it's very solid. You look at what they're going for with her, and instantly it's like, I totally get it. I understand her deal. You can just look at an image of her and go, I think I know how she'd talk. I even think I know how she'd act. You know? Her daughters were very well designed for sure, yeah. But then you compare it to this, and it's like, okay, it's like a machine man. I get you. Why is the thing that's grafted to his arm look like a modern power tool? I feel like his factory should have been okay. To me, hold on. I really need to end stream, but like to me, let's take a look at Heisenberg. Okay, Heisenberg looks like Van Helsing. He's got a big fucking like kind of steampunk hammer. He looks like the dude, right? He's like he to me he looks like a vampire hunter personally, or he has this like rustic wanderer kind of look to him. He gives me almost like a Johnny Silverhand vibe, where he's like you know, incredibly dangerous and independently minded, but also in like a childish, belligerent way. Like he's not in control of himself that way. He's kind of impulsive. So what about this guy makes you think he should be running a factory? I don't know. I get it. He controls metal. I don't know. He just doesn't come like a factory boss to me. But if you were gonna go in that direction, I feel like you could, I don't know, maybe the average enemy is some kind of zombie worker, and his frustration is that he's trying to get them to build him cooler shit. I feel like a junkyard would be better. I think so too, yeah. But if you were gonna do the factory, in my mind is like he okay, here's an idea. He can control metal, right? So what he's been doing is he's been gathering up all of the World War One and World War II scrap in the area. They're in a nondescript Eastern European country, right? So presumably at some point in the recent past, Soviet or German weaponry fought and was destroyed here. So he's been scrounging miles around to get up all of this equipment, and he's tossing it into his big ramshackle factory, and he's forcing all of the like subservient villagers in the community to work, build him something cool. And as a punishment, the workers who don't work fast enough or whatever get augmented and have, you know, fucked up horror bullshit strapped to them. And instead of him being some like cocky, well, you may have foiled my last 18 plans, but here's my 19th kind of guy, I feel like him being this like, I don't know, frustrated, incompetent, but still lethally dangerous manager trying to like direct his creative vision, because he's not a mechanic. He just controls machinery. That doesn't mean he knows how it works. That just means he can use it in the context of his powers. So he's trying to like get other people to figure it out, you know, but he can't really. So you keep fighting these like ramshackle monstrosities that he's created in an effort to like take advantage of his powers. Is what I'm describing that I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I just the factory that's just churning out like generic machine men doesn't land with me. It doesn't land with me. Also, frankly, given how cool his character design is, I feel like you should have fought him more. Like, I don't know. Doesn't he seem like the kind of guy who would be like, "You seem pretty cool. All right, come on, let's go a couple rounds." Ah, and then you would like fight for a bit, and he would be much stronger than you, and then he'd like knock you against a wall, and you'd fall down 50 stories into a pit, and again you'd survive because you're a mold monster, and then later he's like, "Wait, you lived?" Because you've been crawling your way back up from the depths of the factory, you know? And the whole time he's not taking you seriously because you're just like an ant crawling around his facility. I don't know. I don't know. The problem is they did that with Domatresk by that point already. Well, not really, because you didn't fight Domatresk. You just ran from her. Domatresk, like you encountered her multiple times, but it wasn't really in the same context, I feel. I think in his case, he would be trying to kill you, but not taking it too seriously because it's in more of a like combative, I don't know. Because yeah, nothing you do to Domitresk hurts her up until the end, and honestly, same with him. It does also feel a little bit weird, like the power scaling in the bosses, right? Because the haunted doll boss is weak but like psychically powerful. Domitresk is insanely strong. Like you literally can't hurt her, but then you can hurt her when she morphs at the end. Heisenberg is objectively the strongest of the four. Like by a monstrous amount. Like you have to use heavy ordnance to take him out. But he also doesn't feel the strongest. Domitresk feels the strongest because the way she interacts with the player conveys her strength a lot more clearly. Like, it's really difficult to feel stronger than Domitresk when Heisenberg is like kind of a blustering buffoon in a lot of ways. And with Domitresk, you remember vividly the time that you emptied your entire pistol clip into her face while she calmly walked up to you and bitch slapped you. Lady D was getting nerfed by the sun. I guess that's true. I guess that's true, yeah. And the knife thing, yeah. She just had such presence. Sorry, this went on for way too long.